Hello. Um, During the break, some of you asked me what this instrument is. It's a new instrument, and probably some of you probably have seen this for the first time now. Uh, I just give a little bit of description about this, and then we go on to the next set basically. So this is a pretty old instrument. It's called the sitar. Sitar means 7 strings, and it's because there are 7 strings. There are main 7 strings here. There are 7 strings. You see that they are tuned to different notes, and generally this tuning is more or less fixed, except a little bit of tuning based on variations in melodies or ragas. We tune it a little bit differently. But the main name of the sitar comes from the 7 strings. But as you can see that there are not just 7 strings there. There are some lot of other strings here. These are called the sympathetic strings or the resonating strings. And these strings are actually at the bottom of the sitar, and you don't play them. You don't actually plug them to play them. They play by themselves. I'll show you how. So it's tuned to the type of melody that the sitar is playing. So, and it's tuned according to the song. Depending upon the raga or depending upon the melody, you have a different tuning. And they're tuned to the same pitch as you would play the melody. Say for example, if you are playing a melody like this, this is a minor scale, and they are also tuned the same way. And the reason they are tuned this way is so that when you play the notes of that particular scale, there is extra sound produced for every note, and this gives rise to the rich sound quality of the sitar. So for example, if there was no tuning or there was no sympathetic strings below, then if I would have played this note, pa, it would sounded like this. Very flat, there's not much to it. But the beauty of the sitar is that because of this sympathetic strings, it sounds like this. Can you see the difference? And because it gives this rich sound, it allows you to do a lot of things which gives rise to a sustain effect that normally a string instrument will not produce, except if you have an external electrical amplifier system. The other thing that you saw probably that I did here was something called bending of the notes. So you have one note, and then you have the separate notes which you can play on the fret. But the sitar allows you to bend the string and gives rise to all the other different notes. So for example, at least 5 different notes can be played from every individual fret. So this is on the frets. Just from the single fret or the single position, you can play this. The usefulness is that there are several things which one can do in vocal music, which is not very easy to replicate in a string instrument or for that matter, any instrument. Because vocal music is like the mother of all music, because you can make a lot of sounds like the if you had to play this on a string instrument, you would have to do sounds very bad, right? It's like tongue 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 like this. But the sitar, because of its pulling, it can give rise to very similar vocal elements. More closer to the vocal music. becomes closer and closer to vocal music because it allows you to make give rise to overtones and different types of sustain effects. The body of the sitar is made of wood up to this part, this is the stem, and then there are two big things here and here. Generally you would see this as the main component of a sitar because this is called the tumba and it is made from gourd. It's a type of vegetable. So a vegetable is actually shaped in this form, it takes a lot of time. An average sitar like this takes 1 year to build because it's entirely built by hand. So this is shaped in this form, and what it does, it allows you to have a higher resonance. And also, because of the shape, it allows you to have very deep sound, And this sustain effect goes on because of the different. And the addition of this separate one at the top, this allows you to get the deeper notes at a more, the resonating frequency becomes higher. So how this happens is, if you play the very deep notes, this is at -2 octave, so which means that sitar has a very wide range of octaves. So one octave here, one octave here, one octave here, and another octave. So 4 different octaves. That also gives you a chance of playing through a more wider range of notes and so on. The final thing is that the sitar is played with a mixture of both the left and the right hand. The left hand does all the things here using 2 or 3 different fingers, depending upon how much you can. Different types of fingering patterns produce different types of sound. Like this one type of sound, there's another type of sound. Different types of sounds. You don't even need a stroke. There's a different type of sound. And the tonal quality of the sound changes by the way the right hand is played with the different types of patterns. These are called bowls. So that's a different types of bowls or different types of patterns which you produce with your right hand by changing the speed, changing the tempo and everything. And yeah, that's mostly it, or a snapshot of what you can do. There is a wide variety of different things that you can do because of the construction that is made. And sitar was most popularized in the Western world by someone who passed away last year. It's called Pandit Ravi Shankar. Maybe you have heard of him. We'll be also doing something closer to him, let's say, because he also taught a few Western musicians, including the Beatles. Later in the show, we'll come to that as well.